Hello everybody and welcome back to Mutti Plays Pokemon Sapphire. Today I am starting off showing you a couple of Pokemon that I caught between parts, and then we shall move on to the main adventure. This is a Ralts, which is a Psychic type, and Psychic types are weak to Dark, Bug, and Ghost types. And there we go. Successful capture. Yay! And name it that. And next off, I hope you noticed how many levels Gallant grew in the time it took for me to even encounter this thing, because my gosh, it took forever for me to find this thing. And I checked its encounter rate between parts, and I believe it's identical between Ruby and Sapphire, but you cannot find it here in Emerald. So, not entirely sure where you can get it, but in Emerald. But here, we actually get back to business, and here I'm showing you how the Pokemon are doing, what moves they've learned in the time that I was grinding. And Ralts does not learn any offensive moves until level 6, at least in Ruby and Sapphire. I forget if it was altered for Emerald. But here, the first youngster has a Zigzagoon. As I've said, weak to fighting types. But not exactly that many fighting types available this early in the game. Though if you got crazy and decided to make your Torchic evolve, you will have a fighting type, but I do not know why you would grind so intensely so early in the game. The only reason I even let my Ralts get to level 11 is because I'm considering it just a helper Pokemon, and basically, I'm going to let it help me through the second gym, because it will be really useful for the second gym. But, not sure how useful it would be beyond that, because once I get a certain amount of Pokemon, I'm not going to be fond of helpers very much, because having to raise too many at once just gets boring to me. And this is a Wurmple. I forget if I did it up here? Well, I don't think I mentioned its weaknesses. It's a bug type, so it is weak to fire, flying, and rock types. If there's anything else I missed, do be sure to let me know. And a thing that bug catchers tend to brag about in the games is that bug Pokemon tend to evolve really early, which is quite true for a good number of bugs. Usually they've evolved by, I think level 21 is the latest for a bug. And, well, would that be the latest for a bug at this point? Because no, that would be 20 for this generation. And something interesting about Wormpole is that it can evolve into one of two Pokemon. Silcoon or Cascoon, and what turns it into either Silcoon or Cascoon is something that may as well be random and unidentifiable in terms of how easy it is to manipulate that thing in order to make it change. It's something called a personality value. And basically for every Pokemon, these random sets of numbers are determined for each and every one. So every Pokemon that you run into is going to be different. Unless you count roaming Pokemon. And, oh, Tailo. Flying type, weak to rock, electric, and I think that's it. And there are two sets of numbers that determine a Pokemon's personality value. Now, I don't know entirely what the personality value does, but about half of the numbers generated that determine the personality value are the numbers generated that determines a Pokemon's gender. So while gender may be a part of what makes Wormpole go to one evolution or another, it is not the only thing that determines what it evolves into. It would probably be more efficient to just catch their evolved forms and wait until you can get to the daycare center to breed. But the only thing about that, at least in my opinion, I like to raise Pokemon from very low levels to get them to the point where they evolve. It's just a thing I have, and so I really hate it when I can only get a Pokemon in the wild and it is at a level that is above the level it needs to be to evolve. That kind of thing just pisses me off, so I do not like catching evolved cocoon Pokemon, at least, because I swear they are never at the right level for me to be happy with them in the wild. And one thing I like to do when I raise Pokemon is that I arrange them by who needs the most amount of experience to level up to who needs the least amount of experience to level up. So when I pull up the menu and the game starts going really fast, that's just me checking the numbers to make sure I have them in the right order. And now that we are in Petalburg, let's go to our father's gym. And he's very happy that we've got a Pokemon, and this kid comes in and asks Norman for help in catching a Pokemon. So he's like, I'll let you borrow this Pokemon. You go with my daughter, or son if you're playing as Brendan, and go out in the wild and catch your own. Now, he seems to be able to find a Ralts right away, though it is one level below what it's needed to be at in order to no confusion. So all this Ralts can do, really, is just growl at other Pokemon. So he's gonna have a tough time for a bit. Especially since Pokemon don't get experience unless they actually win the battle. So we'd probably have to find something like a Magikarp to just growl at. Or would that even work? Does Splash have more PP than growl? Though he could get lucky and catch a Pokemon with full health. It's always possible. And here, your dad nudges you towards Rustboro City to get started on your quest to collect 8 badges! Yay! And we go over here, and I don't feel like going in the grass, so I am going to go on the beach, and also because this guy is a trainer that we can fight. And I just like fighting every trainer in the game, and if I realize that I forget trainers when I would specifically need to fight them, like say there's a route you can only access once you have Surf, but it's out of the way, and I forget to go to that route before progressing through a few badges, I will be like, what? I missed these people? What? Because, well, trainer experience is very valuable because, well, trainer experience tends to progress you further through the game better. Well, progress your Pokemon's levels further better. And, at least through to Generation 4, you get the most efficient, experience output when your Pokemon are about the same level as the people you're fighting. Because it's a set number for whatever the number is, it is always set how much experience you get for defeating it. But so it kind of sucks if you fight a Pokemon when you're too high leveled, because then you barely get any experience, and if you fight it when you're too low leveled, apart from the obvious trouble of not being able to beat it, and rawr, stupid Talo, it also progresses. It can also progress the level a bit too quickly at times. So for me, trying to fight with people around the same level as I am feels like the most efficient to me. And in Generation 5, they changed the experience a bit to where there's a sort of curve to it. Basically, the bigger difference in levels, the more dramatic the effect of how the experience is altered becomes. Because, like, say if you send out a level 1 Pokemon to against a level 100 Pokemon in the Black and White games, not the games that were originally printed in Black and White, I mean the games named Black and White and Black and White 2. You will get an insane amount of experience. But, if you have a really high Pokemon fighting something that is really weak, you're only gonna get, like, 1 experience point. Which hardly ever happens in the original generations. So... unless you're really desperate for experience when your Pokemon are high leveled, like, maybe if you need exactly 1 experience point, it might be a good idea to have your high leveled Pokemon fighting low leveled Pokemon, but that is not the issue here. This is Generation 3, where experience gain is not curved. Experience is even. And this is going to be the last battle of the part. Basically, this guy has nothing but Worm Pull. And they're all fairly low leveled. And I was a bit annoyed at this fight because my Torchic does not yet know any fire type moves, even though it is a fire type. So it's like, rawr, I can only scratch when I want to burn. And, yeah, a lot of the times it'll want to lower your speed instead of... And Bruce Lee levels up. Yay! So I switch to Seth, and I believe Seth takes on the rest of the Wurmples. And, I am using Bubble here because, a lot of the Pokemon available early in the game are more physically built, but Bubble, being a water-type move, is a special attack, so it hits for their weaker stats. And, basically I'm just trying to exploit that little, weakness by sticking to Bubble. Which, can also be a somewhat desperate strategy if you did not pick up a water, grass, or fighting type before, getting to the Rustboro Gym, because by all technicalities, Ember is a special move. So even if it's not very effective, it would do more damage than something like, say, Metal Claw, because it's hitting for the weaker defense, while the Metal Claw is hitting for the higher defense. And I noticed the footage is about to run out pretty soon, so I will call this a part. I will see you next time as we progress through the Petalburg Woods. See you then!